Yeah. The Domestic, Family and Sexual Violence Commission's yearly report to Parliament is a sobering reminder that while Australia has plans and strategies, we are still failing to deliver the safety and protection that women and children deserve. Domestic and family violence remains a national emergency, and we are still not seeing a mobilisation of resources and decision-making by government as it does for other issues. One woman is murdered every week in Australia, and sadly, children also not quite at the same rate. Some 2.3 million Australian women have experienced violence from an intimate partner. Nearly 60% of women are now, who are now single mothers have experienced partner violence. So yes, Australian women are angry. I'm one of them. The Commission is clear. We must move beyond fragmented responses and embrace coordinated, accountable delivery. The report sets out priority actions for the 7 years remaining in the National Plan to end violence against women and children. Only 7 years for that plan, remember that. We need prevention beginning in childhood, stronger implementation mechanisms, and we must strengthen the Commission itself so we can gather the information needed to monitor progress and outcomes. If not, it is only words. That plan will not deliver its stated outcome. It's what I've been saying in this Parliament since my maiden speech in 2019. Domestic violence is a major health and safety crisis, and we must treat it with the urgency that it demands. In Warringah, the electorate has 5 women's shelters. They are staffed by extraordinary people who show up every day to protect women and children. Last year, I convened a domestic and family violence roundtable with frontline organisations, and we heard from the Northern Beaches Women's Shelter, Mary's House, Women and Children First, the Women's Resilience Centre, Darwood Spilstead, Local Kind, St Vincent de Paul, and despite different service models, they all describe the same problem. Women and children are waiting too long for help, and in the most dangerous moment, which is when they're trying to leave, they are often having to be waitlisted. Police in our area tell me domestic and family violence is their most frequent call-out. In Warringah alone, more than 450 domestic and family violence assaults were reported last year. The Northern Beaches Women's Shelter has faced demand from more than 70 women per day, most of which have had to be turned away because they don't have the capacity. So, this yearly report reinforces all of those statistics on a national front. Our systems remain fragmented, too often under-resourced, and the result is predictable harm. In Australia, 1 in 4 women has experienced intimate partner violence since the age of 15. Almost all of the women who have experienced intimate partner violence since the almost half of all women hospitalised for assault were injured by someone they knew or trusted. I mean, that is the most astounding statistic. And 39% of people accessing homelessness services are there because of domestic and family violence. At the end of 2025, we saw an increase in the number of sexual assaults reported to police, and a 14% increase of women experienced economic abuse. We're now also seeing evolving threats, technology-facilitated abuse, nudify apps, stalking tools, deepfakes, and the rise of online manosphere, radicalising boys and young men with misogyny. And while investments have increased, we cannot confuse expenditure with effectiveness. As I've said before in this place, it's not good enough to say, but we've spent record amounts or we've spent more than the other side if the dial is not shifting in terms of outcomes. The Commission highlights critical insights that must guide our next steps. First, prevention must begin in childhood. We need respectful relationships education early and emotional literacy. Education at universities matters too. Programs like consent labs play a really important role in creating change. Secondly, we must embed lived experience at the centre and centre the voices of those who have been most impacted at the centre of that decision-making. And that includes having things like Youth Advisory Council. It means co-designing with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women, people with disability, multicultural communities, LGBTQIA+ people. And thirdly, the Commission highlights how disconnected our social services and institutions are. Family law, child protection, police, health, housing, they're all systems that intersect in the lives of victim survivors, yet too often they operate in isolation in their own silo. The Commission calls for coordinated implementation and delivery mechanism across government, across all those services. The insights align with reforms that I've been consistently advocating for in this parliament and previously, including increasing and sustaining the funding for frontline services so the capacity of these services aligns with the community need. We are still so far from the actual need. A national domestic violence offender register to support a disclosure scheme similar to Clare's Law, stronger nationally consistent approaches to sentencing, AVO enforcement and appropriate electronic monitoring for high-risk offenders. We take a preventative approach when it comes to terrorism. Why are we not taking a preventative approach when it comes to this domestic terrorism of women? It has to be shifted. The dial has to shift in this way. A major uplift in safe, affordable housing options for women and children fleeing violence. But of course, at the moment, too often they have to choose between safety and poverty. And so, unfortunately, stay in unsafe environments. Fixing systems that enable economic abuse and coercive control, including the broken child support system and the weaponisation of administrative processes. The government is complicit currently under the child support system with coercive economic control of single parents. A focus on prevention, including early intervention programs for men and boys, and support for services like the Man Cave and mentoring men. Yet, despite many submissions, they're forcing to downscale their operations because they have funding shortfalls. And I don't hold much hope that they are going to be funded in the upcoming budget. I really hope I am wrong. But we must address these key drivers. I've repeatedly backed calls for a ban on gambling advertising and far stronger regulation of alcohol. The evidence is so clear that alcohol and gambling ads fuel violence. We know that incidents of domestic violence spiked by 40% during major sporting events. I mean, 40%. And if this government is serious about prevention, and members of government have made great speeches here, but if you are serious about prevention, then you have to act on the obvious drivers. We cannot continue to have gambling advertising peppered through our system that are leading to this crisis getting worse and impacting young men. We know alcohol is such a massive driver. But it's clear this government is still, I would argue, captured by big business and vested interest because despite clear guidelines, we are not prioritising the recommendations of the Murphy report and banning gambling advertising, for example. The Commission makes many recommendations, but it lacks the power needed to really hold the government and states and territories to account. Without the power to compel information from consistent public reporting, it's hard to generally hold government to account. So I've been calling for a Royal Commission into domestic violence and femicide because we see for so many other issues, it elevates the issues to an area of significance. It sends a clear signal this is a priority for the government. Instead, what we're seeing is a mixed response. So I'm told far-reaching inquiry can compel evidence across agencies, jurisdictions, expose where systems are failing, where funding is not reaching the front line and how perpetrators exploit loopholes in our system. So I believe strongly that a Royal Commission would elevate this crisis to a national priority alongside other issues examined by Royal Commissions. The Commission itself can also be strengthened as a statutory authority with expanded powers to gather timely information, data and evidence. We also have to fix the issue of data on this issue. It's insane that we still don't have clear data across our country. The Commission points to the need for better monitoring, review mechanisms and transparent public reporting. Right now, we don't even have longitudinal data to understand the complexity of intimate partner violence over time. So, of the 131 measures tracked under the current national plan, only 32% currently have a data source. So how are we even going to know that the other 131 measures are on track? Without robust, widely available data, we can't accurately measure the promised outcomes of the national plan. We have to confront systems abuse, child support, tax, family law processes. Too often they are used as tools for coercion and control. Women should just not have to enter dangerous conflict situations to receive payments of entitlements to take care of children. So whilst there is some progress, there is so much more to be done on this issue.